My name is Billy Stewart, and I want to speak to you on behalf of Strong Missions. Strong Missions is a turnkey Christian organization that brings you or your group safe, affordable, fully organized mission adventures to Costa Rica and helps the people therein, especially children and families, gain the basic resources necessary for a healthy life. Mission opportunities include home, public school, orphanages, church construction and repair, and of course participation in feeding programs for the children. Also, through new mission site tours, those who wish to contribute to the work but for whatever reason are not able to do the physical labor can still have a major role in the completion of projects, all while seeing all the work sites up close and visiting with the recipients of the projects themselves.
As part of Strong Missions, I would like to welcome you to Costa Rica. I hope you can see how beautiful it is. Wow, there's so much you can expect once you arrive. First off, you'll be greeted at the airport and helps with your luggage and helps getting through customs, and then driven to your lodging where we'll welcome you. And let's say you arrive on a Saturday, that's what's happened. Sunday, typically you could go to Volcano Poas, and travel and then go to La Paz Waterfall Gardens and see all kinds of typical animals that we have here in Costa Rica. Have a wonderful lunch with typical natural beverages made out of papaya or strawberries or watermelon or pineapple. And then see the world's biggest ox cart, come back for the evening, have dinner at the mission, just hang out, relax, and get ready for your first full day of work. During the week, you could work some days on a house project, you could work at a school, you could work on an Evangelical Methodist church. We have many different building projects that you could do. If you like to work with kids, you're welcome to do that after school gets out around 3 in the afternoon. Those that want to keep working in the construction can keep doing that. We're very flexible and very open to that. One of the days during the week, we would definitely take you to La Carpio and Los Guido, our feeding program ministries, and just take you there to teach you. Some things you need to learn is that we're here to teach you, and so that you can experience what's going on, so that you know. Because if you look around, everything's beautiful and gorgeous, and the trees are green, but just behind the next little passageway, there's shacks behind houses that you don't see. So we're here to show you how you can help in a different way. You're helping, of course, with the construction and VBS, but you're helping by feeding children and loving on children. So that could be one day. And at the end of the trip, I'm a little biased, so I would probably say we should go to Manuel Antonio. But you can take a fun trip wherever your team decides and just go out and enjoy some God's beauty. And then we take you to the airport and we don't say goodbye here, we say see you next time. God set it on our hearts to come and to serve and to do something different and something maybe outside of our comfort zone, because definitely coming here the first time for some people is out of your comfort zone. A lot of times you come here to show God's love, to spread God's love, to show how people can be loved, and you come here to bless others. But I think the strongest thing is that we are more blessed than we are blessing. Like, we don't realize that the people we are working with, whether it's construction workers or cooks or staff or local people, they're blessing us. They're showing us love. Sometimes love that we don't even get back home from a stranger.
Whether you come here to take part in construction with Strong Missions, or you choose to donate to one of our many ministries to support people here, when you're putting that plate of food in front of a child or a book in front of a child so that they receive the proper nutrition and so that they're able to get a good education, you're giving that child and that future family of that child a much brighter future. Come and give of yourself. Come and serve. That's what we're called to do. Come, and as Ann Holmes said, share the blessing with the rest of the world. God bless you. Thank you in advance, and we hope to see you soon.
Good morning. Very good. I'm going to tell you guys, actually I was supposed to say hola, buenos dias. I will say that it feels a little bit funny coming back and actually understanding what people say whenever they start talking to you. That's a little weird. But yeah, so we thought we would put together a few things to let you guys know how the trip went. I think that I've thought from the very beginning of what God was doing in the people's lives that reached out to us about this opportunity in Costa Rica, and in our lives. I've known from the very beginning that what God had in store for us was for everyone, as much the people here as it is down there. And having been a part of what's going on down there, I'm really excited about now connecting the dots and bringing that together also. I'll tell you guys that as we started thinking about this and putting it all together, all we really had the opportunity to do was kind of go down and make a list of bullet points of things that we wanted to talk about. So this is not going to be tremendously practiced. And because of that, I just wanted to, keep things very informal. If you guys have any questions along the way, please raise your hand and feel free to ask those during the time. We'll have a question and answer time at the end as well. But if there's something that you want to ask about in the middle of our conversation, please don't hesitate to stop and do that. I've also asked both of the girls to talk a little bit about some things that they experienced, and they told me what they wanted to talk about. So we've kind of worked them in to what we're going to present where it makes the most sense. So they're not super excited about being up here today, but they've agreed to do it. So that's really awesome. I just wanted to start by showing that video, let you guys know what Strong Missions is, right? So we didn't just go to Costa Rica with these wide open possibilities, right? I mean, we were working together with a few folks that I knew from when I worked at Grifols before, several years ago, going on 10 years ago now. The guy calls me up one day and he says, JP, out of the blue, I hadn't talked to him in 10 years. He calls me up one day and says, JP, I know you used to teach karate and all that, and we've got some stuff going on in Costa Rica I think you might be interested in. And one thing led to another, and the way that things go.
Keep in mind, he had no clue about Dojo Church.
Yeah, he didn't know about Dojo Church whenever he called me up to ask me that. So it was really interesting how God put all of that together. But so he and his wife are part of the board for Strong Missions, the Strong Mission nonprofit organization. And basically, so that you understand what that organization is all about, their intention is to create a camp, a mission, effectively, in Costa Rica, where once it's finished, it can house huge teams. Eventually, they'll be able to house, I think, 120, 130 people, somewhere on that order. And the intention is to work with them so that you could bring a team and then go serve in the communities nearby in Costa Rica. And that would provide people with the opportunity to come and experience a mission trip, right? For the time being, though, the mission is still being built. It's in the middle of construction. And so what teams do when they come down is they spend a little bit of time in the community, and they also spend time working there at the mission to fully bring that vision to life, right? So that all 100% of the work can be done out in the community. But interestingly enough, the facilities that they would have, they've got. You heard them talk a lot here about the feeding programs and the community involvement that they are involved with rebuilding and things of that nature in the area. But there are also two very important arms of the ministry where they're doing dance classes and karate classes for kids. They are. Many of the kids, I don't even know how to start with this. There's so many people there, right? Drugs are rampant. Prostitution is a normal thing. And kids that are high school age, if they're not involved in something, they find themselves in a bad situation very quickly.
Their school day is a lot shorter than ours as well.
Yeah, so the school day is a little shorter than ours, which means that they have more time, right, to be involved in things that they probably should steer clear of. And so these programs are a very big part of what Strong Missions is doing down in Costa Rica to keep those kids off the streets. It's just that because of the nature of those programs, typical church groups that come, or any groups that come and want to participate in missions, it's difficult for them to help with karate or dance because of how specialized that is. They can obviously see those programs, but there couldn't be a whole lot of partnering in that. And so that's really what brought us there. Was that Ed Bethay, the friend of mine that used to work with me in the past, he saw the connection with karate and thought that it would be good to put us together and see what we could do to support that part of the mission specifically. And so that's really what our trip down there was for. We kind of went on we had the opportunity to do some mission work, which was amazing. You'll see some about that in just a moment. But the real point of our trip was to take us down, allow us to see what God was doing there, and begin to figure out ways that we could maybe partner with them and let God speak to our hearts. And He did. He showed up in a big way. I'm not 100% sure you can do something like that and not experience God. It was amazing. And as we go through this, I want to encourage all of you guys in the future to, if at all possible, to eventually one day take part in something like that. Really, really amazing. So these are just, I was supposed to flip through these while I was telling you about Strong Missions. This was the sign taken right in the front of that complex. These are some pictures of the mission. There in the upper left is a community garden that they have that they keep up and use those vegetables and things that come out of that garden to provide for the community. It's really weird, by the way, that there are seasons in Costa Rica, but they're not based on temperature, right? Every single day is like high 50s at night and low 80s during the day. It's that way year round. The only thing that delineates seasons is you have a rainy season and a dry season. But basically that means that your garden produces all year, which is really cool for you guys that garden. The building on the upper right there is the office building that they have. One of the groups that came in painted that mural on there just this year. The picture in the lower left is the picture of what will eventually be the dining hall there. Right now it's being used for everything because that's the only main structure that they have there. And the picture at the lower right is kind of looking at that same building from the top of where you turn in the driveway, looking out at the view. You can't really see it there, but San Jose is kind of down in the valley, a little farther away. Yeah, you're up. So, like I said, I wanted to allow the girls some opportunity to talk about what they experienced, and one of the things that Isabella wanted to talk about was food. If you know anything about Isabella, her favorite question is, "What are we eating for dinner?" or "What are we eating for lunch?" or whatever. That's her favorite question, right? So I'll let her share a little bit of what she experienced. Here, I'll hold it so you can just talk.
Food in Costa Rica tastes different than in the U.S., even if it's the same food or dish. Because, like, if you compare a banana in the Costa Rica to a banana in the U.S., the bananas in Costa Rica are fresher, so they taste a lot different, even though they're the same thing.
It's true.
The Coke is different too because the Coke in Costa Rica is made with real sugar. The pictures up there are from when we went to Miss Angela's mom's house, and she taught me how to make homemade tortillas. And that was really special.
So just to let you guys know, Charlie Strong is the founder and leader of Strong Missions. His wife is named Angela, and her mom is who is pictured here with Isabella. That's who she's talking about.
This lady could not speak any English at all, and she pulled Isabella from the table and took her into the kitchen to show her how to make tortillas, not knowing that Isabella is a food person and that she loves to cook.
And what she used to cook the tortillas was called a comal, and it's the This is one. And it's basically a tortilla pan.
And we had to have one before we came home.
Yeah. And after that, and just a little bit before that, I decided to try everything, which is really good. And basically, you can't be picky in Costa Rica because you'll miss out on some really good food. That was loud.
Good, is that it?
Yep.
All right, very good. Thank you, baby. So yeah, and she's corn. Yeah, oh yeah. She's
He even
absolutely
brought
right.
some back.
Yeah, we're right. She's absolutely right. By the way, things in Costa Rica taste completely different. I mean, you can't even imagine unless you've been there, right? Like it tastes the same, the flavor is the same. It's just amplified times 10. It's really weird.
I don't even like bananas, and I ate a banana that had just come off the tree, and it was vine ripened, and they were fantastic. Oh, my turn. So one of the places we went to a Pentecostal church in Carrillos, sorry. And we met with the pastor there, Pastor Anna, and we opted not to take pictures in a lot of these places because tourists come in and take pictures of the dire situations, and we didn't want to get people to think that we were just there to look. We wanted to experience it without making them feel uncomfortable. So this picture is actually in the top of the Pentecostal church, and Chloe's just kind of demonstrating how tiny those chairs are. But we went into this, they have feeding programs in multiple cities, and we went in, and the girls and I actually served food to the kids in this community. The kids, sometimes this is the only meal that they get a day. The schools give them a little bit, but it's not balanced. And they essentially got a bowl of rice with some beans and some sort of meat, and I think it was fish, and they got a banana. That was it. But the kids came in and sat down at the table, and we served them their food and their beverage, and when they got done, they had to wash their own dishes, and they had to wash their dishes before they could get a banana. And so that was a pretty impactful experience for Chloe and I specifically, because we couldn't understand a word that they were saying to us. And it's very humbling to serve people that you know that that's the only meal they're going to get.
The pastor was like, go serve this person. I was like, I have no idea what you're saying.
We're like, who do you want us to serve?
She made like the person raise their hand, and I was like, oh, okay.
Daddy did not help.
Yep. Daddy doesn't like people that much, so he just decided not to. Kind of leading from the food, I wanted to tell you guys a little bit about Los Quitos. Los Quitos was probably the most humble place that we went. It is commonly referred to as a precario, and there are more than 200 precarios in Costa Rica. Los Quitos is probably one of the largest. It is if you can, I'm not sure if you can read that from where you're writing, but it's basically a settlement of people who live in poverty and uncertain housing. It's a slum, is another way to say that. Just so you guys have an understanding, I mean, you can't fully appreciate the condition that these folks live in until you've been there. And even then, I'm not about to say that we completely understand it. I can tell you that they have so little to their name. They own nothing, right? Like this area that squatters' rights is kind of a thing here. So what you commonly run into is people will claim this small little piece of land, and there'll be 4 or 5 or 6 people living in a tin shack that's the size of this little room right here on the side, and that's
everything in that room.
Yeah, that's everything. That's what they live in. That's theirs. But you can't. I don't know that you can fully appreciate the mindset, the mentality. Some things like there are children. Just children, girls that are 14 years old, that will decide to have a baby because that is one thing that is theirs. because they have nothing else that they can call their own. It's such a different world, right? Like it's very difficult to understand, and which is why I wanted to go back and tell Jessica, or kind of reiterate what she said. You know, I would love to have taken some pictures so you guys could see what we saw, but it's very. I mean, you can understand that these people have folks coming in. They don't want to be a spectacle, right? Like one of the most difficult things to do is to help from a position of equality. And it's like without even intending to do so, you can totally make a comment or take somebody's picture, and it makes them feel like you're making a spectacle out of them, right? So there weren't very many pictures that were taken. We did take some pictures of the area in this area. So what we did, Jessica will talk about it more here in just a few moments. The main missions involvement that we had, other than participating in the feeding program there in Carillas, was we fed or we took groceries, a week's worth of groceries, to 25 families that had lost their homes in a recent mudslide. And basically, this is what the area in the mudslide. You can can't see those great, but everywhere that it's green, it's basically where the ground has wiped away houses. That would have been basically packed with homes that all got wiped away in a mudslide, and now that the undergrowth is growing back up, because that happens very quickly, right? Here is kind of an area you can see a little bit better in that picture off in the distance what most of the area looks like. Oh, by the way, when I said this is like the largest slum, they're in this small area that may be the size of the Cleveland community, maybe just a little bit larger than this general area. The government estimates say that there are about 10,000 people living in that area, but that's an estimate based on the best that they can do. The people who really live in that area would think they actually put it more at 40,000 people.
And Strong Missions was actually part of a group that went in and did a census to get an accurate estimation of who lived in that area.
A more accurate estimation. It's one of those things, there are a lot of Nicaraguans that live here in Costa Rica, in this area, and a lot of times those folks are very nervous about being made to leave. And so if you have Nicaraguans that are living in this area, and you have people coming around asking how many people live here, you're not encouraged to tell the right answer, right? And so it's difficult to know how many people live in this area. But that's another picture kind of panned around, and that concrete slab that you see there at the immediate front, that was a home, right? That was completely taken off.
Actually, it's probably multiple homes.
Yeah, well, yeah, in that area. So this is another picture kind of looking up the hill. And again, part of the way that the area is, one of the things that really contributes to these landslides is that you have larger cities, towns that will bring their trash in to this slum and find places to dump it. And literally they'll have dumps on top of hills that over time get covered up with dirt, but then the trash that's there doesn't hold like dirt would. And so when the rainy season comes, it's literally that trash that's sitting on the ground that causes a huge landslide that takes out many people's homes. So I'll let you talk about it.
So the lady in the picture that you saw from the back with the black shirt, her name is Danya Rosa. She is actually one of the community leaders in Sector 8, which is the sector that we were in. Her husband is the pastor of the church, but he was at work, so he couldn't be there to meet us. So we took money, some money that some people gave us here. We contributed some money, and then Ed and Rhonda also contributed some money. So we had a budget of $500, and we were going to go to the grocery store and buy groceries for 25 families, and that was going to feed them for a week. We bought tuna, rice, masa, sugar, beans, soup mix, some seasoning, salt, toilet paper, soap, toothpaste, pasta, some hot sauce, some powdered milk, oil, and some cookies for the kids. And when we went through that line, our total came out to be $499.81. If that is not God, I don't know what is. We took those back to the mission. You can go to the next picture.
Sorry.
We took them back to the mission. This is just from the grocery store. You can kind of see there were 3 carts that were completely piled up. And then we packed it all in this little minivan that we were riding in.
Plus people.
And you can't even see, like, there were 8 of us in this minivan, 9 of us in this minivan, all the groceries, and there was stuff in between the front seats and the back seats and then the floors. We took it all back to the mission and boxed it up into individual bags, and you can see the girls working on that. And then the next day when we went to Los Quitos, we took that, and Donna Rosa met us at this field, essentially, that they play soccer in, and she had people sign up for the boxes. They had to sign up ahead of time, and they actually came and got their boxes.
So that there was some accountability.
Yeah.
You knew that the food was going to the families that had lost their homes.
Yeah, they had some issues in the past with people signing up for food from other sectors and coming and getting food, and they really weren't the ones that had lost their homes or had some issues. So it was incredibly organized. It was super organized. And then there's not a picture of this in there, but they, Warner, the gardener at Strong Missions had picked the garden the day before, and there was a stainless steel table in the kitchen. And that table, if you were going to sit people around it, it probably would have seated 12 people around it. It was a big stainless steel table. It was full of vegetables from their garden, and we actually packed those in to up this very steep hill to the kitchen of the church that her husband is a pastor of, for them to use in their feeding program and for her to hand out to other people in the community that needed fresh vegetables.
Yep. So the one point to make about what's going on is that Strong Missions is really involved in trying to provide a hand up, not a handout. They're trying to help these people back on their feet. And so the feeding program, the food that we were able to provide really was a result of the relationship that Charlie had created with the people that are on the ground in Los Quitos even before the mudslide happened. Strong Missions actually was part of the emergency response. Whenever conditions were favorable to the mudslide, they helped evacuate people. They're really the only organization that knew who was there, and that came from the relationship that they had with those guys. And so Strong Missions is very well trusted in that. They've also been working together with people in the community for community empowerment, trying to create leaders out of different areas so that they can come together and create better situations for all of the folks that live there.
One of the things that we didn't really talk about either was that there were 14 homes lost in that initial mudslide, and another 60 were lost in the days after that, and not a single person was killed during that, because Strong Missions was involved in making sure they knew who was there and who needed to get out, and involved in evacuations.
Yep.
But the government only said there were 7 houses lost.
That's exactly right. The government only thought there were 7 houses that were lost.
Yeah, actually, anyway, that's a different thing. So in terms of the community involvement, just changing gears here a little bit, this is one of the karate programs that we went into. These folks sat us down and fed us before karate class, which was a bad idea. Yeah, karate people are laughing at that, that's right. But to touch on the community involvement, the gentleman on the left in the picture is kind of sitting at the head of the table. He's
in the pink shirt.
Yeah, he's kind of he was involved in community
local
government, and he's working with Strong Missions to help organize those community groups. This is actually a group of parents that work together. For every karate program that they have there, there's a parents association that works together to support what's going on, because they know that not only does the program need to be successful, the ability to have this opportunity to teach karate, but they also know that the students have to have encouragement for that at home. If the people at home are discouraging them from being involved in that, it doesn't last, right? And so these people are involved in making certain that each kid has a sponsor that is helping them, encourage them in the programs that they're doing. And that's part of the community involvement in each one of these places. Just so that you understand a little bit about how the karate program is offered, basically what Strong Missions is doing is they're offering scholarships for these kids to pay karate dues. And the karate dues are they all go towards creating opportunities, paying the rent, creating a place for the karate to happen. So there are some kids that pay for their own karate that come there, but the majority, I guess...
Not in Los Quitos.
Yeah, not in Los Quitos. The Los Quitos location, Strong Missions is paying for 60. They're paying 60 scholarships for kids to practice karate there. And this is important. This is a super important part about this mission because of the impact that it has on people's lives. And I want to show you that the next thing on here is this is a video. Well, actually, I take that back. So after I'll get to that in a second. After we were done eating, we moved the tables. We came and put mats out. If any of you guys have ever helped us get ready for a karate here, you've seen what this looks like. Just move everything, put mats back out, and then they started karate. And that's a picture of the kids program. It was from our angle. It was kind of difficult to get a good picture of that. But this is a picture of the adult program. They actually let me lead class through warm-ups, which was really fun. And then I participated in class, and it was absolutely horrible. Because let me tell you, those guys work hard. They work hard. They appreciate the opportunities that they have, and they work really, really hard. So I'm going to show a quick video. I'll say a quick video. This one's a little bit longer. But this is two different people in this program talking about the impact that the program has had on them. And then in the essence of time, I'm probably going to cut out some of the other videos that we put together. If you want to see them, please come and talk to us about them. We'd be happy to show them to you. But these are examples of, you saw multiple testimonies like this in every single place.
And I'm going to apologize because I didn't video some of the better ones because they got me a little bit choked up. So it's hard for me to video and listen.
There are people who couldn't talk through it. They were so emotionally involved in what this program had done in their lives, the change that it had made in their lives. They couldn't talk about it. They would cry through it, right? And unfortunately, like, we were trying to find those in the videos that we took, and we got like none of the best ones. But you'll kind of hear.
Mucho gusto, mi nombre es Henry. Nice to meet you, my name is Henry. Primero que todo, gracias a ustedes por ayudarnos en el programa. Si tal vez sin ustedes ahorita estuviéramos vagueando en la casa. Thank you for the program. Maybe if we didn't have this opportunity, we will be doing nothing at home. Yo me interesé en el programa gracias a un compañero, Brandon. I got interested in the program thanks to Brandon. It's fantastic. Lo vi como una oportunidad para desahogarme, para evitar unos ataques de ira que yo tuve muy seguido. He found a way in the program to take away his anger. He have all these anger attacks all of a sudden, and this helped him to control them. Por dicha ya lo he controlado. También me ha servido mucho de mucho apoyo porque mi papá tuvo cáncer. Bueno, sí, está todavía en recuperación hace poco. This helped me a lot because I struggled to that and to struggle with my father having cancer now. Entonces fue un golpe muy duro. Fue un golpe muy duro, pero hay que seguir adelante. Eso. He said that it has been very hard, but he knows that you just have to keep going. Absolutamente. Para nadie es un secreto que también tuve problemas en el estudio, por eso no me pude concentrar bien. For nobody is a secret that even with all of this situation, I was having problems with my studies, couldn't concentrate. Pero gracias al sensei y a bastantes compañeros de aquí pude salir adelante. But thank you to my sensei and the help from my partners, I was able to continue. Muchas gracias por todo. He's still hoping that his papa recovers soon, and thank you for everything.
Buenas noches, es un gusto
Good
tenerlos aquí.
evening. It's a pleasure for us to have you here.
Yo no voy a contar mi historia, ¿verdad? Sino que yo quiero contar la historia de este grupo.
I'm I'm not here to tell you my story, but I want to tell you the story of the group.
Aquí en el grupo hay niños consentidos que son hijos de papi.
You are not going to see a kid here that is spoiled and have everything they need and their papas are just giving them stuff.
Aquí tenemos jóvenes trabajadores que salen fin de semana a trabajar. ¿Sí?
We have kids here that actually have a job, pay payroll, and go on the weekends to work.
Personas que trabajan y estudian a la vez.
People who work and study at the same time.
Personas que se encargan de su familia a pesar de que tengan problemas.
People who is helping their families even though it's not easy for themselves.
Personas que superan cosas como la ira, los problemas, la
People
depresión.
who get over things like anger, depression, and other problems.
Personas que entraron aquí queriendo bajar de peso y se dieron cuenta que aquí hay más que bajar de peso. Aquí hay personas que lo aceptan usted tal y como es.
The people then got to the program just to get in shape, to find out after that there is a lot more to offer in this program.
Tenemos personas universitarias trabajando.
We have people we're proud, we have people that are studying in the university now.
Que a pesar de que tiene que trabajar todo el día, viene cansado, ahí está Felipe sentado.
He's one of them, work all day, come and karate, and then he just do it all.
Entonces, yo no veo aquí solo gente que entrena, yo veo gente que a pesar de todo lo que ha vivido, lo que sigue viviendo, están aquí porque les gusta y porque saben que aquí se les van a abrir los brazos.
And I'm very happy because I see this group that they know that we are here, they are part of the family, then it's gonna open their arms always for them.
Y que estas cosas pasen muchas veces es gracias a fundaciones como ustedes, porque sin ustedes realmente sí no existiría.
Gracias. And it's an opportunity that we receive because the foundation and people like you that are here today.
Y además gracias al Sensei, porque el Sensei vive muy lejos y él viene hasta acá.
And thank you to our Sensei, because we know that Sensei is coming from far, it's true, far away, and he's always here for them.
Entonces a mí me gustaría que le diéramos un aplauso a ustedes por estar aquí con nosotros y a nosotros estar aquí luchando.
So he wants for all of us to applaud to all of us. See.
So, yeah, just to give you a little bit of background about who these people were that are speaking right now, the girl that's speaking there was on the national team in Costa Rica and competing on the world stage, really, in other places. And that's where you could really see her leadership kind of come out when she stood up unprompted and wanted to kind of talk about what she had seen karate do for the people that were in that room. Their karate instructor, by the way, lives 2.5 hours away, and that's a motorcycle's ride. A car ride would be longer because it
That's
takes
not a car ride here either.
Yeah, it's so. But he spends.
Don't go as fast as we do.
But so he spends so much time with these guys. He's there every single day, riding a motorcycle 2.5 hours each day, so that he can have relationships with these guys that create the opportunities that you're seeing kind of the product for here. Whenever we left that night, we had to kind of cut off our conversations because a parent from one of his karate students had called him with a crisis about one of his guys. And so he went, it's 9:30 at night, and he's headed over to one of his karate students' houses to figure out how he could help and what he could do ahead of a 2.5 hour ride home, right? So he is. That's kind of what these people are about, and it's very, very inspiring to see. We visited 5 karate programs while we were there. That was the one in Los Quito. This is a karate program in Sarchi.
All of those kids are scholarship kids as well in that picture.
Yeah, 100% of those guys are all scholarship
19
kids.
total.
We visited a karate program in Poas, and how many kids there?
I don't know how many.
I can't remember how many are.
Not all
are
of these
there as
kids
well.
are scholarship kids because Poas is actually a relatively wealthy area.
Yeah.
Comparatively.
This was a good testimony, but as I said, based on time, I'm gonna skip over it.
That kid actually went and served us dinner
Yeah, that
and ate with us.
Yeah. So it was pretty cool. And then this is the karate program at Strong Missions there in the facility that they have. Charlie teaches karate there. They allowed me to teach some weapon stuff, which was really kind of cool. Recognizing that they didn't do any formalized weapons training. We talked about that just a little bit ahead of time, and I'm going to tell you it was a little bit awe-inspiring whenever the kids to that class came in line single file. Like they had to get transportation there, and Charlie works to get the students to the site. And when they came in the building, they filed in single file. Every one of them had taken their mom's broomstick from home to learn bow, and it's kind of funny. Angela was like, there are people around people around Costa Rica right now are wondering where their broom handle went because we had 30 of them in that room right there.
And all of those are scholarship kids as well.
Yeah, all of those are scholarship kids also that wouldn't have that opportunity without that. That's their group. The upper left picture is a picture that they took for the kids that had won recently in some tournaments that they had in the past. The last karate program that we went to, actually it wasn't the last one we went to, but the last one to talk about is one in Gracia. And Gracia, the instructor there is kind of the guy that's teaching Charlie and all of the other instructors. He's really who is driving all of that. They had a great program. I think there's 18 or so of those kids that are 16 or 18 of those kids that are
18
that were scholarship students also. I do want to show this one because it's pretty quick, but I think that it's important because it kind of shows a product of what the system is creating.
Introduce Ronaldo to you also. He came in a little late, but Ronaldo was a scholarship student for a while, a year and a half. He is now on the tactical squad of the police department here, so he's a tactical police officer. We're very lucky to have a police officer like that on the force here. He worked with us this summer also, interned at the center and translated with groups and worked very hard. And would have had a full-time job probably with us if he hadn't wanted to be a policeman and worked so hard for that. He's also a volunteer fireman and is very high up in Krav Maga as well. So he's kind of an animal. Gave me a black eye once when we were training for black belt. He helped me, as did Hector, helped me a lot. And he just gave me a black eye. So it runs in the family. We're like a family here. It's a very violent one.
Yeah. So that kid is was in a tough situation, and because of this program, I mean, things turned around. He's like he said, a tactical police officer and a volunteer fireman, all for the purpose of turning back around and serving the community, right? He saw the change that happened in him from being served, provided the opportunities, and he's doing it in a little bit of a different way. But you can also kind of see the relationships that are involved. Charlie said that, and that's Charlie Strong, by the way, that was speaking, but he said that if it weren't for him going to be a police officer, he would have probably been full-time staff at Strong Missions, and those are kind of, that's kind of normal for the relationships that are formed.
Okay, so I was going to talk about the karate programs as well. So I participated in one of them, which was the Strong Missions one. And it was just really fun because all the people there were like, they weren't being forced to be there, because like people in the U.S. who do stuff like karate, especially like younger kids, lots of times they aren't really paying attention and don't really care because their parents are making them go. So just going to like somewhere where they really appreciate their opportunity and like what they're doing was really cool. And it is really exhausting mentally to try to follow a class where they're only speaking in Spanish. So, yeah.
But you managed. She did great.
I figured it out.
Nice. Okay. Thank you, Chloe. And then basically just wanted to wrap up saying a couple of things about you know, what Jessica and I gleaned from this. This is a picture of us before we got ready to leave. So if you want to go first, I'll finish up.
One of the things that hit me the most was everywhere we went with the intention of loving on people, and people loved on us in a way that we've never experienced here in the United States. Every single person welcomed us with open arms. This doesn't even have all of their staff in it, but the guy on the end standing beside JP, that's Wilbert, and he works for Strong Missions, and every morning he greeted us with a smile. And the people that we interacted with was the biggest impact for me, I think, because every person that you saw walking down the street, every person you came in contact with said good morning or good afternoon or hello or how are you. Of course, they said it in Spanish, so sometimes we didn't understand, and we were just like, hola. But that...
Buenas.
Yeah.
Smiling
that was probably the biggest thing. The kids were always smiling. Every child that you came in contact, even in Los Guidos where they had nothing, they had a big grin on their face and were happy to see you.
So for me, I'm going to just flip through these to show you really quickly and then say a couple of things. We were able to go to a couple of different places and see. I mean, if you're in Costa Rica, you have the opportunity to see some of God's beauty, and it is something that you do not have the opportunity to see, like the world's largest ox cart. All right, ox cart is apparently a symbol of work and labor, and the largest one in the world was there in Costa Rica. That's also a picture of a church that we saw right across from where the ox cart was. This is pretty cool. It's like a...
this is where they make the ox carts.
Yeah, this is where they make the ox carts, but the whole workshop was based on a hydraulic wheel that turns based on moving water. And the really cool part about it was you can't really see very well from those pictures, but that giant wheel turned an enormous shaft in the workshop, all of which their equipment would hook to by a belt. And so it was all operated by that water wheel. This was had the opportunity to go to a coffee plantation and see what the coffee plants looked like. They were having some issues this year with mold, so they had to cut down a lot of the coffee plants. But that was a great trip to be able to see that.
That specific coffee plantation is also a product of Strong Missions. The gentleman in that picture that owns it, he has a high school education, and he has grown that coffee farm into a multi-million-dollar business. With the help of Strong Missions, they helped him with his business plan and with getting it out in the community. That's the only coffee you drink at Strong Missions, and it is fantastic. He actually will be coming to the United States. He speaks no English, but him and his wife are coming to the United States to San Francisco to a coffee bazaar thing, some sort of international festival of coffee. He sells about 80% of his green coffee beans to the United States now.
And then talking about just some of the things that you don't see in the United States, right? In North Carolina, this is not far from where the mission was. They refer to this place as La Paz, the waterfall there, and then we
were in the rainforest.
We were in the rainforest area, and we decided to show some funny pictures of the kids because watch Isabella. And the guy with his head behind the leaf, that's Ed Bethay, and we decided that he is just an older male version of Isabella. So that's the reason he made the slide with Isabella's pictures on it. So.
Those leaves that he's standing under, people who can't afford umbrellas actually take those and use those as umbrellas.
As an umbrella, yeah. So yeah, what I was going to say is, for me, the biggest thing that I saw was, again, relationships. I had the opportunity to stand up. If I had shown all of the karate videos, what you would have heard, the consistent theme that you would have heard is what people found in karate was community. They found family. They found a welcoming and encouraging family with open arms that basically loved them into a better situation in their lives. And at one point in time, I had the opportunity to stand up in front of the people in Los Quitos and explain how it was my perspective that all of that they sensed in karate was a reflection of what it is to be loved into the family of Jesus Christ and in coming to know Him as your Lord and Savior. And so we joked a little bit on the way down there because Ed and Rhonda are working through a little bit more of a traditional church, and they're giving them a little bit of a hard time about asking them questions like, well, where's Jesus in what's happening down there? And I mean, if you have to ask that question, I'm not 100% sure you'll understand the answer. But it's in the relationships. We saw Jesus
everywhere,
every day, in every single face, in the relationships that were being built. And I think that what's happened through this is that we have started new relationships that I believe are reflective of God and the relationship that we have with Him. In Matthew 22, Jesus tells us that the two most important commands are to love God with all your heart, mind, and strength, and that is how can you do that? That's a lot of many Christians understand that to mean that you can't. Being saved is not about saying a magic prayer. Okay, I'll say the prayer and then you're saved. It's about that points to a relationship with God. And then it comes right back around and says, and love people the same way that you love yourself. And that in the same way, love others. And so that relationship that is implied with God, we are also to have with others. And seeing that relationship grow in people that don't speak the same language is just a thing, right? Like we felt love, we felt acceptance, we felt involved, and all of that, not knowing what they're saying, not being able to speak, just because of the love of Christ. It's a great opportunity. Doug, if you guys want to come on up. These guys, I think, are gonna do a song, and so I've kind of talked too long, which is what I always do. But by all means, by all means, after these guys are done, if you wanted to, if you want to talk to us a little bit about what we experienced and what we did, we'll be around for a while and be happy to share those things. You guys all have the opportunity to be involved in this. We will be partnering with what's going on down there, which basically means that we'll be going back. So if you saw something that was interesting to you, if you were intrigued by what you saw and would be interested in stepping out of your comfort zone, because it will not be easy, but I promise you, you'd be blessed in being involved. And so if that's on your mind and in your heart, please talk to us about it, because the only question we're trying to struggle with right now is when. When do we go back? And if I would go back next week, yeah. But to be able to take a group, you guys tell me when you're ready, and we'll go and experience Christ together. Thank you guys for your time.
Amen. Thank Browns.
Well. We find ourselves here in Dojo's detention again.
I don't think I'm supposed to be here.
No, Miss Brown. This is exactly where you need to be. So today, it's exactly 8:55, and we're going to do it a little different today. You have 5 minutes to do the dojo announcements. We're not going to sleep. Get up. No playing on the phone, young lady. And you, mister, stay in your seat. You mess with the bull, you get the horns. No monkey business. I'm going to be right down the hall in my office. I'm watching.
So what announcements do we have at Dojo?
Well, I know the youth meet at 12 p.m.
I think there's a small group at 4 p.m. at Sensei JP's house.
Isn't there karate on Wednesdays?
Yeah, I think the kids starts at 6:30.
And isn't the adult one at 7?
Yeah, I think there's also a Bible study during the adult karate class. Isn't there a women's Bible study at 6 p.m. on Thursdays?
I'm pretty sure, yeah. Yeah, and I think at 8 a.m. there's men's breakfast on Saturdays.
Don't forget about the events.
Yeah, there's a strawberry festival on April 28th, and we need people to sign up.
Yeah, and on May 6th we have breakfast.
We need volunteers at the kids' church, too. And we need helpers for the sound and AV.
Hey, you guys got that video done yet?